Welcome to Offset. It's Larry and the Big Man. That's Jay Caufield, two-time Stanley Cup champion and Sportsnet hockey analyst. I'm Larry Richert, host of the Big K Morning Show here in Pittsburgh. And Dave Ricchini is our Nostradamus of the numbers and obviously fashion king. We'll get to that in just a moment.
He just woke up from his Christmas hobby. It's a day late.
Slumber.
It's for sale if you want it, Jay.
We want to thank
Watch
One
first.
Team Media and Brian Hess, and Mark Connington is producing this episode, and from Odyssey Pittsburgh and our 5 radio stations, my employer. Thank you, Michael Spatchapoli.
Yeah, Rourke Automotive Group as well. Dave, we appreciate you being part of our podcast, and also Tom Gross with Henderson Brothers. Thank you both. We appreciate it.
HendersonBrothers.com. Check it out, and thank you, Tom. That said, big weekend. What a difference the last few weeks for the Steelers have made in a 1-month period where you go from the lows of the lows from the fan base to the highs of the highs, a 3-game win streak with an opportunity in Cleveland, just because it's Cleveland, no matter what, the records are at this point. But I want to share a story. Years ago, when I worked in country radio, Y108, we took 1,000 Steeler fans on a train to Cleveland. Bill Hillgrove rode up with us. Let me tell you, if I could make a movie just about that trip and the debauchery that went on the train, on the way up and on the way back, it would be well worth the price of admission. That was old Memorial Stadium, and it was ugly. And this is before I think the dog pound really took shape. So throw out the records. We all know the history between these two teams, but it's more meaningful regardless of records for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I think if you look at the Steeler Browns and everything that means, and we can picture Jack Lambert and all the guys you go back over time, but I think the outdoor games in December, what it could be. But I think for this one against the Browns, you want to keep yourself in a row. I think what makes us all feel good, and you were just starting to touch on it, Larry, it's the way the Steelers have won these games. And I think getting a big win against Detroit, a team that people, I don't think they were giving them the credit when they got through Baltimore, which wasn't looking good. Then Miami, nobody was giving the Steelers enough credit. And then you see how they played in Detroit. So with that being said, you roll into this game, and it's the Myles Garrett show, right? What is he, 1.5 sacks away? One. So, we got a half field? Okay.
Yeah.
So he's 1 away from the record. So he's going to be on a mission. And you got to respect when you watch those edge rushers that are that dominating, and it's going to be tested. We've talked about how good the offensive line has been for Pittsburgh. I think I got to watch out for that side of the defense. If the offense can stay on a roll, I just love how they can roll in there and take care of business for me.
It's an intriguing game on multiple levels for me. One, the Browns had the Bills on the ropes.
They did
last week. That the Browns have a lot of injuries on the defensive side of it, offensive side of it too, and now they lost Quinshon Judkins, their star rookie running back. But Shedeur Sanders, he's got a pretty good relationship with that rookie tight end Harold Fannin Jr. And it'll be the first time the Steelers get a chance to see Shedeur Sanders against the Steelers. So that's intriguing. Plus, we talked, earlier this week about if the Ravens lose on Saturday, what do the Steelers do on Sunday? They're basically locked in to the number 4 seed. They can't. You're not going to catch the Jaguars. The Jags have to lose out and the Steelers have to win out. So if you're locked into the 4 seed, it's also, I think, too early to say, okay, we're going to sit Rodgers. But wouldn't it be perfect if Mason Rudolph gets the start?
I didn't
in
even
Cleveland,
think about
Myles
the
Garrett
possibility.
sacks him to break the record. So I think there's a lot of interesting storylines to play out this weekend.
So when I hear that, and I thought about that with Dave, with Buffalo coming in there, and it's human nature. You're going into Cleveland, Buffalo. It's like the dog days of your season. What's happening? I think that's almost like a good wake up call for Steelers to see how that game went, knowing that they're playing the game hard, and I think it's going to be a different. I think the Steelers won't. I don't think they're going to be. They're not taking him. They're not going to take him for granted. I think Buffalo. I think they took it a little bit for granted. All of a sudden, Sanders gets on a little bit of a roll, and they were making things happen. So I think the Judkins injury, you talked about, big. But I just like, and if you do find out you won, I think the league makes a mistake by not having all games be Sundays the last 2 weeks of the year. I don't think you should have I don't think you should let something be settled early. I'd rather have both games, all the games felt like they do in Week 18. All the games are played on the final day. I know they don't do
Plus,
it.
boy, yesterday's Christmas lineup was terrible. The game,
Oh.
like none of the games were meet.
Not
KC
one-
was
not
a
one
double-digit
That's
underdog.
the thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that. I wish they all would be in the final. Well, I guess you can't do it. Then you have Christmas games. It's all TV. I get it, money, all that goes with that. But if they do have a set, I'd still have them roll their same lineup. I think giving guys a break. Now, if you're up, maybe play a half at least. I would not have them. I would not sit them. They're just getting in a good rhythm. Too long to take off.
All right.
That. Yeah.
Time for your predictions, Jay. Let's call out a score. Steelers, Browns.
I'm going to go 26-10 Steelers.
26. That's
An interesting number.
yeah,
Just came
it is.
Yeah, I found it. I know. How about that?
David.
Also, be curious to see who steps up without DK Metcalf at wide receiver. You take a lot of attention from the defense. I think regardless what happens Saturday, I think the Steelers are still going to squeak out a win. I'm going to go 17-13 Steelers.
Ooh.
A defensive struggle. Steelers, right?
Yes.
I'll go 21-17 Steelers.
Larry, you made me think. I'm going to try to think, how can you get to 26 points? When you made that comment, well, 13.5.
It could be. We have to look at it. It could be a scoregami, like the. What scoregami is, right?
Like you pick the number. I go, I picked the number that it's not the easy. Like if you got 26 on the draw, you go, that's a brutal number to get. Right? That's what you would say.
On the
It's a
squares.
brutal number. I'm like, really? I didn't get like a 7, 3, a 0.
What did you say?
26-10.
That had to have happened.
Well, it's 2. You get 13.5.
I'll find out if it's
You
happened.
find it.
All right.
Find it.
Look at this. Just look at this. That's all the scores that have happened. So it might take me a little bit of time here.
That's why you're doing that.
That's why you're there.
It's your producer mentality. All right, that said,
It has happened.
every week it is amazing how the top 5 from the NFC, AFC changes just on paper. But now we want your take on who you think are the top 5. Who wants to go first, Dave?
Is it your
We'll
turn?
do NFC first.
Do NFC first.
NFC first because it's easy for me. I got the same as last week.
All right.
Even though Seattle beat the Rams, I still have the Rams as the top team in the NFC. I still think with that, they were up 16 in the fourth quarter.
Mhm.
I still trust Stafford. They didn't have Devontae Adams last week. You put Puka Nacua with Devontae Adams in a running game, and the defense is just good enough. I still have them 1, and then it's Seahawks, Bears, Eagles, 49ers, same as last week.
Okay, I'm not. For me too, I kept the Rams first too, even that defeat, which I get it. So both, I think they're the cream of the crop, if you will.
And they
in
could be
NFC.
the 6th seed. They could.
I know.
They could
I know
be
there's
the
a
6th
huge
seed.
thing against the Rams. So, but yeah, Rams 1, Seattle 2. I got the 49ers third. I'm taking those 3 teams to me. What the 49ers even did on Monday night, they play the game fast, and they're riddled with injuries on the defensive side. But what Robert Saleh has done after the debacle he had in New York, the Jets as a head coach, he comes back there and resets himself. His mentality on the defensive side with guys down that are major players out of their lineup, they come and they play the game hard. Now, does that mean they can get exposed? I don't know, but I'm still thinking 49ers third. I got Chicago 4th. I got Philly 5th. So not much different, but I got the 49ers for me are something that's going to make life difficult for teams wherever they play. It's going to be interesting.
I have Seattle, the Rams, the Bears, and then 49ers and Eagles.
There you go.
So, all right.
It is wild how it jumps around.
It
that
does.
was the closest that it stayed pat, but it's wild to me.
Agreed. And, the Bears beating Green Bay in that dramatic fashion, it
Yeah.
seems like they finally, and you saw the attendance there at Soldier Field. There wasn't an empty seat. And even though it looked like all was lost, the fan base stayed. They're starving for a winner in
The
Chicago.
wild thing about this one, I think Dave and I were talking when we were going over a thing. Chicago's won 6 games in the final minute of the game, basically. Final drive. Some 6 of their games, 6 of their wins are in the last drive. So let's say that. Let's just say that time frame.
Right.
Last drive. It's unbelievable to me.
All right, AFC, Jay.
Yeah, for me, New England. I'm putting New England. I'm running them on top. Buffalo, I put second. Even though I'm not sure, you don't know what you're going to get complete game-wise, all phases of the game, but Josh Allen makes stuff happen. New England, Buffalo. I got Houston because their defense, even though I think they went in, I'm going to say another time, human nature. You're going to go into places and not really be as amped up to play the game. They got a squeaker. They get by the Raiders, but I still got Houston third. I moved Jacksonville to fourth, and I'm putting Denver fifth because I think Jacksonville has, if Trevor Lawrence stays on that kind of a run, and he's got his skill set. That's why he came out of college so big. We talk about rave about Joe Burrow, but if he gets himself on a run and goes through it, he's the guy that can make things happen. So I moved them to fourth, and I had Denver fifth, as I said.
New England first, Buffalo second still. Denver dropped down to third.
Oof.
First time this year I have Jacksonville in the top 5. I'm going to have them at fourth. Again, statement win Sunday. And I still have the Steelers fifth. I dropped Houston out. It's a tough one. I think, whoever the Steelers draw, if they get in and then that 4 seed, whoever they draw, whether it's the Chargers who've been playing good, or the Bills, or the Texans, or the Jags, it's going to be a tough first round game. But right now I have Pittsburgh 5 ahead of Houston.
Good. Very good.
Yeah, I have Pittsburgh fifth, New England first. Houston, yeah, it's hard at this point, but defense wins championships. I'm going to put them in third behind the Bills, and then the Jags, Denver and Steelers Denver lost, but they're a really good football team, and Steelers are trending, so those are my top 5.
Okay.
All right, that said, time for the legendary Big Man Blitz with Jay Caufield. Jay, so many ways you could go with this.
I know. On our show the other day, on Christmas Eve, I went on a rant about the Rams and Seattle game, about the bad call, about the bad beat, and I can't get away from it. It's my Big Man Blitz again today.
So sour.
I'm going to say the Rams and Seattle. That's it. That's my blitz. I kind of can't believe that the best league in the world, the best business in the world, really, it's a machine, and you can't figure out how to solve, the whistle blew. I don't get it. I don't get how you. No, I seriously, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Now
I'm gonna bring a whistle.
I said truthfully,
week.
If you had the Rams -1.5, it was lost. It's like they gave them. They just phoned in and go, hey, relook at that again. We don't care about the whistle. Give the Seahawks 2 points. It makes no sense to me. And again, across the board, every player felt it. Nobody. Now Charbonnet, right? He goes and picks up the ball casually, one-handed. He almost could have done it without stepping. I mean, no, his ball would have been over. I just found it the worst. It's bad. It's bad that the NFL, the league that good, and all the money for ownership too, teams, the franchises, what could be won and lost on, to me, bad stuff. They got to straighten that out.
Roger Goodell will be sent a copy of this Big Man Blitz segment.
Hey,
how many head coaches showed that video to their teams this week? About, I know they, pick up a ball, but that video was showed to every single team this week. I guaranteed it.
But it is wild, though. It is everybody, and I'm going to go about the whistle thing. You watch players today, they all go after a ball. Even if they think it's his arm's going for it, they all go after it. The whistle blew. So guys stopped. That's what you're told, right? Play through the whistle, whatever, but they stopped. Only one guy casually picked up the ball, and they went back. And I think if you cannot advance a fumble, then why on earth would you let that go ahead? That's, so to me, terrible.
That's
terrible.
Double whammy.
It is a double whammy. There you go. I'll get off it. That's the last one. It's been in 3 seconds, but that's my Big Man Blitz.
All right, let's talk about college football playoffs. Not in the playoffs. Penn State and Pitt, though. Pitt has an 11 o'clock kickoff. The military.
Larry,
bowl.
poor Larry. We feel for you, Big
When
Man.
do you
We do.
leave for Annapolis?
Yeah, now. And then Penn State playing in the Pinstripe Bowl against Clemson, and that kickoff is at noon. So you've got the 2 local teams in bowl games, but let's talk about college football playoffs overall. What do you think about Miami in the Cotton Bowl against Ohio State? A lot of people don't think Miami should be there.
By the way, we forgot to say happy belated birthday, Larry.
Yeah, we did want to do that. We're trying to find the time to do
miss
it.
that on
Right.
Wednesday, so happy belated.
Yeah,
Going to give
quietly.
That's okay.
a couple more days to marinate, but
Yes. Belated.
Does Yinzer
50
Dog
what?
make a birthday cake? Larry, is there a Yinzer Dog birthday cake out there anywhere?
No, but the milkshake factory is
Oh,
2
right
doors
next
down.
door. There we
it's
go.
fried dough. They have fried dough, right?
They have fried dough. We could put a few candles on that. Like,
Yeah.
we just need, that's
Yeah.
all we need. That's it. Fried dough.
Bring up a good point for the future, but thank you, gentlemen.
You look great.
Yeah,
Yeah, Larry.
for an elderly person, thank you. So, playoffs.
Yeah, it was fun to see how that played out last weekend. The team that everybody, should they be in, should they not be in, Miami, then they go and get the upset. But on the flip side, it kind of played out how the critics were afraid was Tulane didn't show up. James Madison, although they scored late to cover, could have been another bad beat for Tuesday or for a Wednesday show. They scored that late touchdown a minute to go to cover the 20 some points. But they got to get it right. It's a different animal than March Madness, and we all love March Madness and watch the hoops and the chance to see a 16 seed Fairleigh Dickinson upset the number 1 seed Purdue. We love that, but it's a different game, and it's harder when you're relying on 22 players to step up in one game, as opposed to in basketball you could have 1 or 2 guys get hot, go on a run, and get an upset. So I think I appreciate wanting to get all the Power 5 conferences a chance to compete in it, but I think this could be a lesson for the committee, and I think you could see a change going into next year where, okay, it's not just the conference winners. We got to get the 12 best teams in the playoffs, and this year that would have included Notre Dame. The other thing, too, is, people were on Alabama. Oh, they don't deserve to be in it.
Yeah.
Then they go and pick up a win, too. So I do like to see that. The teams that are, all week long or all 2 weeks long, oh, you don't deserve to be there. Well, guess what? They showed up and they won a game.
I agree with Dave on all that stuff. I mean, I think that they can, you make this big push to have a playoff system, and just to watch the good games. And even though there's always, even in every sports league, or maybe not baseball, but NBA, one plays 8, there's usually usually going to run on them, whatever it might be. But it shouldn't be like that with this college football team. The good teams, the best teams. I think Nick Saban even made. I saw this after I talked to Dave the other night. Is that kind of likened it to playing like an MLB team playing a single A team in baseball. I mean, it's the depth. It's just not. It's not the same. I don't think they should have a playoff system if they're going to have teams that are going to get. If you're picking the best, get the best teams that are in the college level, whatever it is. It's a shame that they have a couple games that aren't worthy of being in that type of system. But my whole thing through the whole week is still what you have to go through, Larry. I look at how Pitt and Penn State, when there was rumors that they might be able to play together, would not be the Pinstripe Bowl in New York City. I think it would have been a perfect for the, I don't know. I just think it would have been a great draw. I really do. I think they missed out on that. And I'm not sure who makes that decision. I've said that before. Is it the schools? Does Penn State not want to play? Does Pitt not want to play Penn State? I'm not sure where that fell through the cracks, but why on earth would you not want those two teams?
I kind of missed the
Pitt
pool
didn't wanna
and
play.
Weed Whacker Bowl.
I heard Pitt didn't want to play Pitt. Did you hear the same thing? Pitt didn't want to
I
play
heard Penn State because Penn State is like, look, no, seriously.
No, I agree. I think
Because
that's what it was.
we got a new coach. We ended up, winning and being 6-6. They kept Terry Smith, which was, I thought, a great move for continuity and all those things. And it's like, let's just not get involved in the Pitt Penn State thing, because if Pitt would happen to have won, then you got to deal with, well, we're not playing forever.
You know what
If
that's
you
like?
lose to Clemson, okay, so
Yeah.
You know what that's like, Larry? Here's what I feel that's like. It's like you play a guy, you have a foursome, you play golf all the time. And the guy's rolling on you every week. Like, he beats you, he's playing good golf. All of a sudden, his game's off, and he comes up and he doesn't want to play. You got your team game, you got your individual bets. All of a sudden, I'm not going to play an Indy today. I'm just going to, go about my business. I go, well, that doesn't, just because you're in turmoil or your game's not going well, you don't pass on an opportunity to have something that would have been a way better draw. It's like backing out when you're a little bit on the downside, so you're not going to play what should be a great rivalry game. Do you know what I mean about golf?
Who was that golfer? I want to.
I can't give a name on that. Can't give.
I've never done it.
No, you've never done it. No, you've never.
No.
Either is Rob. Either is Mario. Never. Mario's probably the one looking at people.
Brad.
Not
never.
Brad. No, Brad would never do.
Curious.
Brad needs higher. Brad needs bigger money on games. But there are people that will, like, if they're not playing well, they passed. Oh, I'm not going to play in Indy today. And any golfer in the world who might listen to this knows what I'm talking about. Like, I gotta go. Yeah, we've been there where guys do that. So you have to play whether you're good or bad, whether your game's right or not, or it doesn't match your handicap. You still got to go play, and if you have the bets, you got to do it. But I think they missed the boat.
It's a shame.
Huge.
Yeah, it would have been a huge draw.
Would have been great to see. I mean, it would have been something for
With the Penn
especially
State
us.
fan base,
You know,
and a lot of it in the eastern side of the state too. It's an easy to be in Yankee Stadium, and I've been there twice for games. It's a great atmosphere. You're in
Yeah.
Manhattan, with the nightlife. It would have been a great opportunity.
Did you mention
but
Weed Whacker Bowl? What was that? What were
the
you mentioning?
Poland Weed Whacker Bowl is sure missed that one. Do you ever look at some of the names
The
now
names.
of all this? It's kind of silly. All right, before we go, introducing a new segment,
Yeah.
the brainchild of Jay, his family, and Dave
too.
put his
Yeah.
stamp on it. Offset goes off topic.
Yeah.
And this topic is non-sports related, and it's Christmas movies. Do you have a top 3?
Yeah.
And Dave, you pointed out something very important.
So Dave,
Sun Death was released in December, so Sun Death.
Is Sudden Death a
Is-
Christmas film with
It's like the Die Hard.
with-
Is it
Jean-Claude Van Damme and Jay Caufield,
that's right.
like Bruce Willis is with his movie that's I guess there's
Okay,
controversy.
so Dave, I'll be able to shut that story down. I get it was released in December, but it wasn't filmed like the movie isn't setting isn't in December. Where Die Hard was filmed around Christmas time. That's why Die Hard is going to be one of my Christmas movies.
Whoa.
There we go. My first one. Is that what it is?
First, like top?
No. I'm just going to give in 3. We're going to write three movies, right? Christmas Vacation, Die Hard, and Home Alone. They're 3 Christmas movies that you got to see. But that's, you see what I mean, Dave? Like the setting for Sudden Death wasn't Christmas time.
Good point.
It was
Well, I
playoff
heard you had
time in
a
hockey. It was
Christmas.
April.
You had a line there. You changed. You were supposed to say "ho ho ho" at one point, and you changed it. You didn't like the script.
I did have the ability to do that, though. Yes, I did.
All right, Dave.
I have the 2 of the same.
Okay.
Christmas Vacation's 1. Home Alone's 2. I'm going way back. This is like from my childhood in the 80s. The original Miracle on 34th Street. The original.
Oh, I like that. That's fun.
When Santa had to go to trial to prove.
Mhm.
I like that one.
I'm going to go with the Jimmy Stewart movie. I know it's really old school, but when it's on, my wife, while she's baking cookies this time of year and stuff, she'll put on a Christmas movie, and it seems to always be on, and we can't turn it off. So I take that. It's a Wonderful Life.
Okay.
But I'm with you guys. Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
Similar story in real life about something coming out of the tree. I love when the squirrel came out.
That's, it is a
It's just slapstick,
Yeah.
but it's still really funny.
Yeah.
Then thinking really hard about the third, it's not Die Hard. I would have went with Sudden Impact.
No.
Sudden Death.
Hey, Sudden Death.
Or
Sudden Death.
Sudden Impact is a space movie.
I get that.
That's probably more of a Christmas movie
Larry
than
very
Sudden Death.
rarely has to be corrected. Very
Oh, no.
rarely.
They have a
That one-
taser. They wait for it because in some of my worlds, I cannot make a mistake. And if I do, then, it's tragic. But the third movie, as far as a Christmas movie, is A Christmas Story. And the reason
Oh,
for
yeah.
me is
Yeah.
filmed in Cleveland, but I actually experienced the feeling of getting a rifle, a BB gun for Christmas one year. And so I can relate.
I get that. I get that.
And we have a replica of the leg lamp in our studios at KDKA in our production facility. So A Christmas Story for me.
Fragile. It's fragile.
That's it.
Yeah. I get it totally.
Nobody said Elf. Wow.
It was
Elf
fourth.
pretty-
Elf was next.
Yeah, it was
one.
fourth.
Yeah.
Elf was pretty good.
Yeah, it was
It
good.
was-
It was good.
All right. Thank you, Dave.
Thank
Dave
you guys.
McKinney, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Big weekend for a lot of reasons.
Yep.
Big man Jay Caufield.
Great.
We are joined by the great Pierre McGuire once again. And Pierre, big week. But since we talked last week, big things finally happened for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Welcome back.
Great to visit with you, Larry. Nice to see you, Jay.
Yep.
You know, it's pretty amazing what Sidney Crosby's been able to accomplish. I think everybody knows he's played more games than Mario. He's broken Mario's scoring record as a Pittsburgh Penguin. But it's the way he carries himself. You know, he had one of the most amazing mentors that you could ever have when he broke into the National Hockey League. It's Mario Lemieux. You know, he was his landlord, he was his teammate, he was his owner, he was his friend, but more than anything else, he was his mentor. He helped Sid a lot, and I think Sid appreciates it, and the rest is history. I knew when Sid was at Shattuck St. Mary's, he was going to be special. I didn't realize he was going to be this special.
Yeah, I don't think, Pierre, that we could ever. I mean, I was talking the other night. Well, Borky and I were working that night, and we were talking about when Mario broke Rick Keough's record, the points record, and had the lead for the franchise. It wasn't really, it wasn't anything like it just was. It's something that happened. It was almost, what was the year he was going to do it? That kind of thing. This has been so special because you're literally talking about two of the best. They're going to go down as two of the best players that ever played a game, right? They're going to be right in that whole conversation, and always will be. But I do think the longevity to be able to play it to the level, and then that he is, Pierre, right? There's something about anybody that has. We talk about Aaron Rodgers here in the football world, but Sidney Crosby and playing a game of hockey that many years, and to be able to produce and deliver on what's expected of a generational talent, Pierre.
It's unbelievable, Jay. He's measured up in every single metric. But the biggest thing to me is the 20 years, the consistency of the 20 years. And he's still got plenty of game left. It's not like he's just all of a sudden, I'm going to retire at the end of 20 years. He's got plenty of game left. You're talking about a guy that's going to be an 85 to 100-point scorer for the next 3 years if he chooses to be. That's an amazing accomplishment unto itself. And let's remember, too, all the extracurriculars, played World Junior at 16, won World Junior Gold as a 17, played in 2 Olympics in 2010 and 2014, went to 3 Stanley Cup final, or actually 4 Stanley Cup final. You start doing the math of all the extra games, it's unbelievable how consistent. And I'll never forget this, Jay and Larry. 2005 Memorial Cup, he takes Rimouski to play the London Knights in the Memorial Cup final. I'm telling you guys right now, Rimouski had no chance of being there had they not had Sidney Crosby. No chance at all.
I was say, Pierre, to go along with that about the games, it's also a lot of guys, when you get, especially the elite, when you're done, you need a break, right? An extended break just to get away from the game. Yeah. I think he probably forces himself to take whatever time he gets. It's probably very difficult because next he's back already on, and there's so many things going on from, where he could be involved in. But I haven't seen a guy that's that is that elite, that also has the drive and relentless work ethic in any sport, probably. I mean, I really don't. I mean, he's nonstop. He gets on the ice probably pretty quickly and drags people with him. Right. So to me, that's that's one of the things that, look, he was raised right. Right. He was raised right by his parents and does the right things. But that work ethic is what also drives him, Pierre.
I'm going to back you up on this, Jay. I'm just going to give you some glowing examples. One is the day that Nathan McKinnon was drafted first overall by Colorado. The next day in the morning at like 5 a.m., Sidney Crosby and Nathan McKinnon were not nursing a hangover. They were running sand dunes in California at 5 a.m. the day after the draft. I'm not kidding you. Here's another example. 2005 World Junior. I'm sitting at the rink in Grand Forks. With me, Kevin Lowe, Wayne Gretzky, Brent Sutter, my late father, my partner Gordon Miller, and a couple of Pete DeBoer, one of the other assistants with Team Canada. Gretzky looks at Kevin Lowe and says to all of us, I knew the kid was good, but I didn't know he worked this hard. It was unbelievable to hear that because they had never seen him live. They'd only seen him on tape, and they'd never seen him practice. All of a sudden, they're watching him practice. They're freaking out. And the final one, I say to Sid one year, it's before the season starts, I said, man, you look good in preseason. What'd you do this summer? He goes, it's the first time I ever took a break. I took a trip to Europe. He says, I felt invigorated, rejuvenated, and because of that trip, because they got knocked out of the playoffs early, he says, I was able to get my mind straight and get my work habits going, and he took off and had this monster year. So he's just an amazing person, just an amazing person.
And as a native Pittsburgher and a hockey fan, Pierre, I think about a time before Mario Lemieux was drafted, the season prior. I went to a game in February. It was 20 below wind chill factor. There were 1,800 people in the Civic Arena. against the new expansion Washington Capitals. And then when Mario came, you still didn't know that it would take us to where we are today. But to think about him getting on the ice, scoring on his first shift, and you thought maybe this is a harbinger of something great. And then to have Jay train Mario for a comeback and have Sidney Crosby kind of hand the baton and all the great players in between with your coaching and the Stanley Cups, 1, 2, back-to-back. As fans, we're just loving this. And it's an extraordinary story and created this interest and love for hockey in the region that exists today. We have been blessed.
I love what you just said, Larry. That's so cool. Jay will remember this. I was in New York when Sidney Crosby and the lottery happened, and I'll never forget, the NHL didn't announce the first pick. They announced the second pick, Anaheim. And I hear this loud on the table, and it's Brian Burke, the general manager of Anaheim, because he knows he's not getting Sid. So think about it for 1 second. All of a sudden, Pittsburgh gets Sidney Crosby, and everybody's joyful and happy and thrilled. Think about how things could have changed if Sid goes to Anaheim or if Sid goes to Carolina. Because I know one thing right now, there was a good chance of Pittsburgh Penguins not be in Pittsburgh anymore. What happened was right after they selected Sid, they had to rent extra office space at the Marriott in Pittsburgh to handle all the marketing requests because they didn't have big enough offices at the Civic Arena. It's an amazing story. Lemieux, Crosby, it's unbelievable to think about. It really is.
Pierre, we've been, again, this city alone, Pittsburgh in general, with the great talent that's been across all sports, right? It's truly amazing what has been. That's why the city of champions and what goes with it. But can you really, I mean, there's so many franchises. There's a number of franchises that have outstanding talent that's come through, but think of the list of the guys that have been through here from our years on up, right? From the first couple Stanley Cups and the great players before it. But my God, the run of great talent that's been on the ice here in Pittsburgh is unrivaled, really, almost since that time.
Oh, I agree. People don't even talk about, well, you had Sergei Gonchar there. You got Erik Karlsson there. You have had Christopher Letang for 20 years. You go look at it. You talked about Brian Trotzy was a Pittsburgh Penguin after he was a New York Islander. People don't even remember that. This is amazing, Larry. Jay was a teammate of these guys. This is how our center ice position went. Mario Lemieux, Ronnie Francis, Brian Trotzy, Randy Gillen. Like, you think about those four. We had our top 3 centers are on the Hockey Hall of Fame. Like, who has that? It's amazing. Joey Mullen's a Hockey Hall of Famer. Larry Murphy's a Hockey Hall of Famer. Jaromir Jagr is going to become a Hockey Hall of Famer. This is all to Jay's point. Evgeny Malkin's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Sidney Crosby's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Marc-Andre Fleury, there's a real good chance Marc-Andre Fleury is going to be in the Hall of Fame. You start looking at all these great names that have gone through Pittsburgh, it's mind-shattering. It really is.
That said, the only constant in life is change. And another significant move since we talked to you just last week, think of what's happened outside of the Penguins broke their 8-game losing streak and finally won a shootout for the first time since November of 2024. We talked about that. But the ownership change and potential, so this is significant. What does this mean, do you suppose, for the fans? Obviously, you want to win, but who are the Hoffman people?
I don't know who the Hoffman family is. Obviously, they're very successful people. They must have the means. The NHL has this unbelievably difficult protocol that you have to go through to become an owner in the league. It wasn't always that way, Larry. It wasn't always that way. But after some fumbles and foibles along the way with potential different ownership groups, the NHL came up with an ironclad plan of how they're going to identify ownership or potential owners in the league. I don't know how it affects it, but here's one. If they're looking for some free advice, here's one thing I would tell them. Get 66 involved as much as you can.
Get
you. 66 involved as much as you can. That would help you a lot.
If you when you look at it, Pierre, and the uncertainty for so many people that are involved in the team and the organization, from front office people to just people in the building, and what it means when new ownership. We've gone through it a couple times, right? So even when it went from earlier is when Baldwin took the team over from DeBartolo, and there's always there's upheaval, but you hope the players can be immune to it, but they're really not, because decisions come around, and especially if you're on the upside or downside in a given year when they take the team over, all of a sudden, no matter what, it's you're to be an owner of a team, it's something that's brand new, shiny. But if you're not on the winning side of it, like everything else, you got to make changes. And I think it's kind of wild. The point that the shootout win that Larry talked about, such a big thing, because if they kind of lost another game, Pierre, in that fashion, you never know what's going to happen. It's forcing the hands of the GM if we get into the business side of that.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I've been through it. You talked about the ownership change from Mr. DeBartolo to Mr. Baldwin. Obviously, it was a successful management change and ownership change because we kept our GM, Craig Patrick. We kept our coaching staff together, and we won, and that's an important part of it. I've also been part of it, Jay, where we had an ownership change in Hartford from Mr. Gordon to Mr. Carmanos, and everybody got blown out. The new owner brought in his own people. I've also been part of it in Ottawa where there was an ownership change that worked out really well. And then another time, my second time in Ottawa, where it didn't work out as well. So there are all these different things that go on whenever there's an ownership change. The one thing I would say, again, as I was speaking to Larry, and I think you can speak to this better than I, they would be very wise as people from Chicago to not portray themselves as carpetbag owners. And one of the ways of doing that, you bring in Mario Lemieux and you give him a hefty voice if he chooses to have it.
Yeah.
Well, for the fans, it was great to see Mario in the building, supporting what Sid was doing and being as gracious and as he always is. And the Fenway group, I don't know exactly what happened, stiff-armed the relationship, and the fans knew, what's going on. And they also, it's not as public, but they swept a bunch of people in the office staff. So there's a whole group of people that don't have the relationships and connections in the city. Hopefully, the Hoffman group will rebuild some of that and definitely keep 66 front and center.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Pierre, in the hockey, as far as the games are concerned, you had Shilovs get the win the other night, right? In the shootout win that we just talked about. But you need, they were flat. This game, the game that Sid broke the record in, the game in general, there was energy from the get-go. They were flat all the leading up to it, multiple games, which was concerning. And they turned in one game, they played a much different brand of hockey. They were aggressive. They were in the face of Montreal, but the energy was in the building because how the players fed off of that.
I was watching you do your TV hits in between periods, and I was enjoying it very much. And that's one of the things you talked about. And you were talking about how they were moving the puck, how Crosby was playing with energy, how precise they were with their passing. And I thought it was really important to show the fans exactly why there was more energy. There's more energy in the building when the players are making tape-to-tape passes. There's more energy in the building when guys are going face-to-face and they're knocking people over. And I thought the Penguins played with much more urgency than what I saw the night before in Montreal. Even though I got to say this, Jacob Fowler played great in goal in that 4-0 shutout win for Montreal. But still, you could tell they didn't have the same energy on Saturday night as they had on Sunday night when they were trying to get Sidney the record.
Yeah.
And what a difference a day makes. Here, I was watching when they lost to Montreal.
Yeah.
And it was a shutout, obviously, as you know, the eighth lot. And I saw the big man several times, and I'm thinking, I actually see steam coming out of his ears. So I was so happy they got the win on the next opportunity.
Yeah, it's nice, and same with you, Pierre. You're working the games like I am, and it's you're looking at you're searching for what's something to say without just coming down on it. I do know one thing. Dan Muse has tried multiple things, right? And Larry and I have talked about this off air. The changes, the lineups, and things like that. And you're searching. You're trying to. He's not standing pat. He's making decisions and making moves. And I think that's a good thing. And you're just looking for something to click.
Well, one of the things that's pretty apparent, they trust Brett Kulak. You see how much ice time he's getting right now. They're putting him on in overtime. They're putting him out for key penalty kills. I thought he'd be a good addition for the team. If they don't keep him, it's because they get blown over by an offer from a team that's probably contending for the cup. but he's been a really nice addition for them on the back end, especially because the fact he can play both the left and the right side, even though he's a left shot. And I think eventually you're going to see Stuart Skinner settle down and play the type of hockey that will help the Penguins. And maybe he's a showcase cinema too, where you start to showcase him and maybe he gets traded as well. I don't know what their long-term plan is because he doesn't have a contract past this year, but I liked the energy on Sunday. I really did. And I was happy to see them obviously get the win in the shootout.
Yeah, and Pierre, one more thing from this. Watching the game the other night when you saw him, when Shilovs gets a tripping penalty, right? So you remember that call on the break? I've never seen that called, by the way. I've never seen that called that way, the way he played it. It's not like he attacked and stuck his – to me, that call was one – we complain about the NFL referees as far as what we see every week. And that game against the Penguins, that call against Shilovs was, in my opinion, brutal. And then the no call when Raquel went through the crease, when it wasn't his stick that got the piece of the goaltender. I find it hard to believe that you go up top and you look down and you're getting all these angles, and from Toronto, they considered that a no goal.
Yeah, it's really strange. I got a good story for you to back you up on that too, Jay.
Yeah.
I was watching a minor league game in over the weekend, and a team had a goal disallowed because the goalie went out to try to be aggressive on the puck carrier, and they called it goalie interference outside the crease. The league must have been so upset about this. The next day, they told the officials to go into that team's dressing room and apologize to the coaching staff and the players. I've never heard of that happening either. And they, and to their credit, this minor league actually made the referees go in and apologize, and they did. Now the damage was already done. The team lost, but it shows you that people are starting to pay attention to this. I do think one of the problems we have in the NHL right now is we've got a lot of young guys refereeing that don't have a lot of experience because we've had a whack of guys get hurt this year, and we've had a whack of guys retire over the last couple of years, and we just got a lot of inexperienced guys doing games right now.
Yeah, it's hard. I said all you do as a player, you want to know you want to feel like you understand how the game's being called, and it's different from game to game, right? We understand that, but at least if you get a feel and you understand it, the player can deal with it. It's that in between, Pierre, right? That'll drive you crazy if it's part of losing a game or whatever it might be. Tough to take as an athlete when you're dealing with that.
You know what's really amazing, Larry and Jay? When Jay was playing in particular, you knew what Billy McCreary was going to call before the game. He let obstruction go, but he called every stick infraction. Kerry Frazier, he didn't call as many stick infractions, but he called a lot of obstruction fouls. Every referee, Dan Marawelli had his own way of doing games. Andy Van Hellemond had his own way of doing games. You knew what the referees were going to call before the game even started because they had a track record and you could scout it. You could break it down on tape. With these new guys today, we don't even know their names because they don't have them on their sweaters anymore. They have numbers. Yeah. And I'll tell you one thing. That's another thing the league's got to do. They got to start putting names in the back of the referees' jerseys. If the players have to have their names in the jerseys, the referees should have to have their names on the jerseys too.
I like that, Pierre.
To
I do.
be
I like
continued. That said, looking forward to an exciting new year that includes Winter Olympics and NHL hockey too. So, Pierre, Happy New Year to you, and as always, thanks for the time.
Thanks, Pierre.
I love being on with you guys. Thank you so much, Larry. Thanks a lot, Jay. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Every time Pierre's on, I learn so much. It's like an encyclopedia of everything hockey. He's a brilliant mind.
And what he does, he said, we've always said he's the hardest working guy as far as when he was coaching. Now in the TV world, what he did and how many games he called, and now when he's on with us next week, he's going to be in Ireland.
Yeah, we're going to do this. He'll be live in a pub in Dublin, Ireland. So we'll look forward to that. We want to thank One Team Media and Brian Hess. Mark Coddington is producing this episode. And for my employer, Odyssey Pittsburgh, with 5 great radio stations, including KDKA, thank Michael Spacciapoli.
Also, Dave Rourke and the Rourke Automotive Group. Thank you very much for being a part of it. And a title sponsor, the Rourke Advantage, lifetime state inspections, lifetime oil changes. Thanks, Dave. We appreciate it. Also, Tom Grillish from Henderson Brothers. Again, 2 guys that we've known and been around a long time, and they're supporting us, and we really appreciate it, Tom. And you have a little bit more to add on that side.
Yeah, Henderson Brothers, trusted since 1893, doing what they do. Want to thank again Tom Grealish, and for information and partnerships, go to hendersonbrothers.com. It's been a wild 2025. Looking forward to a new year ahead, and we appreciate you checking out the podcasts. Want to thank the big man. This is Offset Larry and the big man. That's Jay Caufield. I'm Larry Richert, and that's a wrap.